Carol Roth is with us now. She is the author of You Will Own Nothing, and she is also a former investment banker. She is recovering from all of those years. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, Glenn. Happy Friday, and hope you've had a good week. It seems like one of those, it's the wrong week to quit sniffing glue weeks. It's just one thing after another.
It is crazy. First of all, Hunter Biden's case falls apart. And there's a story today out that is talking about how angry his attorneys are at this judge for what? Doing her job? Then yesterday we find out that what's his name? Sam Bankman-Fried the charges are being dropped for him on any kind of illegal campaign donations. He gave tens of millions of dollars to the Democrats, tens of millions of dollars. And he did it illegally. He was doing it under other people's names, fake names, and under his company, which he can't do. But they dropped that. Why, Carol?
Yeah, I mean, it's even worse than that. The allegations were that he was using customers' money to make the donation. So it wasn't even just the fake names. It was literally somebody had put their money with him as a custodian, and allegedly that's what happened. But so let's take a step back and remind everybody who this Sam Bankman-Fried character is. He was this 20-something wonderkind, that just comes out of nowhere, who's altruistic. He just wants to get rich so he can give it all away, Glenn. And he does this from a $40 million penthouse in a tax haven called the Bahamas. Absolutely nothing suspicious there, right? And when you think about financial frauds, there's two different kinds. There's the ones that are, try to stay away from the regulators. They're very under the radar. They try to they're not trying to draw attention. And then there's ones that run directly towards the politicians, usually because the politicians are involved. And I think about the, 1MDB sovereign debt scandal that happened over in Malaysia as an example of that. So what happened here is that you had these prosecutors who brought Bankman-Fried up on all charges. He was in the Bahamas at the time that he was charged, and the U.S. signed an extradition treaty with the Bahamas. Now, obviously, the U.S. has a lot of leverage over the Bahamas, right? If you want the Bahamas to turn somebody over, it's not really that challenging to do it. So
Correct.
This is the second time that they have dropped a charge, and both of them are related, in my opinion. The first one was the violating anti-bribery statutes, right? And the second is these campaign finance charges. And if you think about that, they say, that wasn't part of the extradition treaty. Okay, but again, the U.S. has massive leverage over the Bahamas. If this was something that you wanted to either be in the treaty to start with or you wanted to pursue, this is not a difficult thing. The issue is that there's a lot at stake. It would open up a huge deep dive into where all of this money went, how it was used, if there was, potentially any money laundering that was involved. Clearly, a trail, a deep dive that a lot of very well-connected people who got this money didn't want to have happen. And then there potentially would be a renewed call for the politicians to return the money. A handful did, but many, many didn't. And, just a kind of a look into what's happening with, all these offshore accounts that allegedly Bankman-Fried was setting up and involved in. So this is, if you believe in the simplest answer is the right answer here, the fact that you had both bribery and finance charges, it's because of his cozy nature with the politicians and the fact that they were all involved in this at, various different levels, and they don't want that information coming out.
So, Carol, I look at the billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that we are sending to Ukraine. And we know now, most people aren't talking about this, and I don't know why, but on Wednesday in front of the judge, Hunter Biden said, yes, okay, I did take money from China. So all of the lies of the past that we knew were lies, at least anyone who's paying attention, now been confirmed. He took money from Ukraine as well. And this is a country we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars toward, and there's no oversight. It is almost as if the biggest heist is happening right under our noses, and we see it, but we're not doing anything about it. I think there's a very good chance that this was all just money laundering and putting this money. Do you know how much of the world you could change with $100 million? Can you imagine what you could change with $1 billion? I mean, all of this untracked or untraceable all over the world. Who's getting all this money?
You mean to tell me you don't think that Hunter Biden is a Renaissance man, that, his amazing discretion makes him highly sought after to sit on international boards and lead international dealings? Oh, and by the way, to be an amazing painter that commands, six figures for his paintings. It's so blatant. It's
obscene.
So out in the open. It is just. It's almost like they're rubbing everybody's faces in it, and they're just seeing how far they can push. And unfortunately, people are so wrapped up in the day-to-day nonsense that there really isn't any pushback against these issues. I mean, I couldn't even begin to speculate what is happening with this money that we're sending over, because there's so much of it. It's entirely unaccounted for, and it doesn't seem to stop.
Who does that? No. And who does that? And now we have a guy who we know was taking other people's money and sending it to politicians and donating it in ways that are highly illegal, and nobody's going to look into it. I mean, it's very hard not to be a conspiracy theorist and say they're all in on a money laundering thing. Something else is going on.
Yeah, again, allegedly, it seems that to be a realistic outcome, because how could it not? And when you look at how hard they've been going after President Trump from the time that he came down that elevator to announce his presidency to yesterday, and all of the things that they, these little things, many of them made up, that they were going after, all the while doing many of the same things that they're accusing him of doing, or much worse. It's beyond a two-tier system of justice. It's if you are with us, you are going to benefit. We're going to find a way to move this money around and get everybody paid. And as I've always said, that Congress is a place where you legally launder money. So this could be a legal laundering of it. But see, clearly people are getting paid in a way that, our government was not set up to make sure that they were getting paid.
Correct. So they dropped the charges on him. The rest of the charges, is he going away for a very long time?
I guess it depends on who he knows and what they want to come out and what they don't want to come out. I mean, if you think about, back in December of 2022, Maxine Waters, who previously was blowing kisses at Sam Bankman-Fried in a hearing on crypto, she put out that tweet about, you've been so candid in your discussions, and we're so happy that you talk to the public.
Correct.
I mean, when does somebody in Congress ever do something like that? I mean, it's just so blatant and so bizarre. So he's clearly incredibly well tied, and there's something much deeper going on here. So whether he gets off, whether he gets disappeared, whether the camera in his jail cell stops working, like so many others, Glenn, or not, I think depends on the level of what has happened behind the scenes. And it's like this onion. Every time we peel back a layer, we're finding more and more. There is much more going on here because of the level of the money we were talking about here and his cozy nature with all the politicians. As I said when we started, usually with financial fraud, you don't want the attention of people who are regulators and people in Congress and those high-profile
Correct.
people unless they're involved. And that's what had happened with 1MDB and all of these other corruption issues. So the fact that you have, all of these people who were running cover for him and you're not standing up and denouncing him and now you're getting these charges dropped says to me there's something deeper we haven't discovered yet.
That is terrifying, Carol. Thank you so much. Carol Roth, the author of You Will Own Nothing.